As a Eastern European following American news, I am absolutely shocked about the race baiting that goes within American culture. And the reason I'm shocked is that I don't understand. Are people genuinely not aware of what's happening? Or are people just aware but they're going with it anyway because it serves their political agenda? To me, it feels as if people just join another group of people and then they would push stuff, even if they know it's bullshit, just because it's advantageous. In propaganda, usually there is a saying that perception is king, so it doesn't really matter if it's true or not, as long as people believe it. And this is the exact same tactic that corporations use to sell a product. Like, for instance, if someone tries to sell detergent, they may claim that it is the best detergent on the market, even though it's obviously not. Like, their intention is to create the perception and then for people to buy the detergent. And you see this within culture as well. So, for instance, there are a couple of activists that are trying to push racism into the mindset of America, right? Like the concept that America is a systemically racist country, the concept that minorities are more oppressed in the US than in other places of the world. And of course, this actually does serve country like China, which also try to promote their culture. And when they see what America is doing, and they're like, well, we are systemically racist, then countries like China can go like, you know what? Yeah, absolutely, you are. Yeah, America is systemically racist. Like, here's somebody. Like, keep saying that. And this is the situation on the global scale right now. Now, I noticed an example, a recent one that came out in the news. And basically, when I first saw this on Twitter, you had like this image of this black gentleman, and it was like, look how systemically racist America is. Like, this used to be a mask that they used for slaves and blah, blah, blah. And we're lucky that Twitter actually has community notes, because the community notes would show you exactly why this person is mistreated. They're not mistreated because of their race. They're mistreated because of the character of their actions. And their actions is this. And so this video was something that shocked the entire world, because many countries just don't have this. And you can tell that they don't have this because if they did, the judge would be behind the safety glass. Like, if more than one person would do this, then the judge would be more defended. But the reason the judge isn't behind the safety glass is because we can assume most people don't behave like this, right? Like, this is not normal. Even for US, even for times of turmoil, when politics get the better of us, this is not normal. And so that's why the person was being muzzled, because that is something reserved for people that cannot behave themselves. The purpose of the muzzle is so that he doesn't spit on other people, is that he doesn't bite other people. It doesn't matter the race. Like, I have seen pictures of white people that had that. Like, if you misbehave while in custody, if you attack anyone while in custody, you get that. You get the muzzle. The way it works is that people will assume that you're a grown adult and you're not going to behave in that manner. But if you choose to, then you get the restraints. And so it's been a couple of years, and we finally get the sentencing. We finally know that this person is being convicted to 26 to 65 years in prison for doing this. And again, a lot of people, rightfully so, are blaming the actual individual. Like, why did you jump a judge? But no one seems to be blaming the culture. And I think, like, the toxic culture, I like the word toxic, it's being used around in the media a lot now. But the toxic culture is what creates this problem. Because I'm looking in the comment section, and you have so many people justifying this and condemning the judge for sentencing the man to 26 to 65 years. You have individuals that say, well, this is unjustifiable amount of time, systemic racism at the finest, 30 years minimum is insane. They give pedophiles less, so on and so forth. Like any type of argument they can reach for, literally anything, in order to justify why this person shouldn't be locked up. And I'm thinking like, okay, you got an individual that stand in court. I think this was like his second or third time he was in court. And it's not like because of political reasons, right? It's not like he wrote a thought-provoking book that the government is trying to suppress, or he had a motivating speech where he promoted a foreign national or anything like that, right? No, it's not why he was there. He was there because he threatened to bust someone's kneecaps. And he committed severe acts of violence. That's why he was there. And when you see the man jumping a judge, any sane and rational person, which has two neurons to rub together, would be like, okay, if this individual is committing harm to other members of society, and then instead of being remorseful, instead of learning his lesson, he is attacking the judge, would I want this person as my neighbor? Would I want my kids to be around such a person so that they too can learn how to be violent, so that they too can learn that this is acceptable? And so that they can also be in danger, right? Because like, what if they take this guy off? I mean, if he does this to a judge, why wouldn't he do this to an average citizen? He required 3 or 4 other individuals in order to restrain him. Do you honestly think that this is the type of individual that would make a good neighbor? And so these questions are never asked. The people that are defending this person gain absolutely no backlash. Like, if you make a racist joke on Twitter, you get more backlash than if you justify the actions of the individual. And the problem is that you're creating a culture that produces more such individuals. Because there is absolutely no one saying, no, this is wrong. You shouldn't justify this type of criminal activity. In fact, it's very sus that you do. Why are you justifying criminal activity? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you encouraging this type of behavior? What do you gain? What are you after? What are your interests? That is like the sane line of questioning that you would need to have at least 5 or 6 people in the comment section constantly asking every person that's encouraging this behavior, or justifying it, or asking any type of questions. And the thing is, in the American culture, from my personal observation, there is a lot of questions about reform. It's like, well, yeah, but like if we send him to prison, will he become a better man? Will this? And I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if the American prison system is capable or not of reforming. But at the end of the day, when I see a person jumping a judge, the first thing in my mind is not whether or not the person can be reformed. It's like, can we separate this person from law-abiding citizens? Because someone's mother is on the streets. Someone's daughter, someone's son. Do you want them to get jumped? Do you want them to live among other individuals that can't control themselves, even in the presence of a judge, right? Like, this is the first order of questioning. It's like, how do we separate him from law-abiding citizens? And so, until that happens, until you have that shift in culture, you're going to get more people like this. And it wasn't always the case. I think Thomas Sowell actually talks about how when he was young, there were massive outages in his city. So the phone lines didn't work, the street lights didn't work, and despite all that, his city remained calm. There were no problems, no lootings, no robberies. And so a couple of decades later, same thing happens, but this time people actually do go out and they loot. And he noticed the change of culture. It was the Cold War, and America was the target of subversive ideologies coming from Russia. They had Russian journalists, Russian students, Marxist ideologues, like people that had an interest in race baiting and in creating division amongst Americans. And we know now because the KGB files are unlocked and the Russians would call these active measures, and there was funding and promoting the type of activity that I described, where a journalist would be a communist sympathizer or a Marxist sympathizer, and they would constantly talk about race and how America is. They didn't have the word systemic racist at the time, but they would basically like just constantly focus and chip away at what brought people together. Things like the Pledge of Allegiance, Thanksgiving, constant race-based ideology. And so when the lights did go out, people that were now under the different culture, they did react violently. So culture does affect. And right now, everything is to promote division. I don't know, many people try to promote unity. But seriously, like, ask yourself, how many ideologues, how many journalists, how many opinion influencers, how many content creators, how many of these people are actually actively trying to promote unity? And stuff like unity is the Pledge of Allegiance, as I mentioned before, Thanksgiving, like things that try to unite all Americans under one flag, and they're being like one nation, undivided, under God. How much of that is still a thing? Versus how much of it was a thing when you were a kid? I think that's an important question for people to ask, and you will get to the root of the problem. Let me know what you think, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.